The drama nobody saw coming just flipped the entire cast upside down. Word on the street is, Kirk Frost thought he was walking Ashley into a peaceful sit-down to smooth things over with Rashida, but instead, he accidentally sparked one of the most explosive confrontations in love and hip-hop history. What was supposed to be a moment of maturity, a grown-up conversation between two women, turned into a fiery exposé that left Rashida stunned, and the entire room frozen. And trust, Ashley did not come to play. She came with memories, emotions, and something Rashida clearly didn't expect: receipts. Fans are already calling it the most intense moment of the season, and insiders are whispering that this blow-up might just expose more than green room shade. Ashley allegedly unloaded everything she'd been holding in, including claims that Rashida's friendly smile hides years of bitterness, lies, and even betrayal of some of her closest castmates. And while Kirk was just trying to mediate, the only thing he ended up doing was lighting a fuse. Viewers are asking, was this really about shade? Or is there something deeper between Ashley and Rashida that's never been said out loud? Until now, stay close, because it gets messier. Kirk thought he was setting up a calm, grown-up conversation, a moment of healing, something soft. But the second Ashley walked into that room, everything shifted. She didn't come for closure. She didn't come to apologize. She came with heat, with memory, with emotions stacked up like dynamite. And she wasn't afraid to light the match. Kirk's face changed instantly the moment Ashley looked Rashida dead in the eyes and said, "I'm not here for peace. I'm here for the truth. And trust me, you're not ready for it." What everyone expected to be a mature exchange turned into a verbal battlefield. Ashley didn't hesitate. She went straight for it. She told Rashida, "I saw your green screen confessional. I heard every word." And before Rashida could even form a response, Ashley hit her with the real problem. This wasn't just shade. This was intentional, repetitive, behind-my-back character assassination. Rashida tried to soften the tension with a half smile, but Ashley wasn't buying it. She listed every insult Rashida had made: the hair, the marriage, the season 1 wig comment, the digs at her relationship, the subtle jabs about her presence on the show. Ashley remembered everything. Kirk jumped in, trying to ease the tension. He said, "I thought maybe y'all could talk it out." Ashley turned to him and asked, "You thought that after she spent a whole season dragging me while I wasn't in the room?" Her voice cracked, not with sadness, but with rage wrapped in hurt. "You think I owe her a conversation? She had her chance. She had cameras, a mic, a whole damn studio to say whatever she wanted. And now you want me to play calm?" Ashley then dropped a line that froze the whole room. "You didn't just talk about me. You talked about Yandy. You talked about Mendices. So forgive me if I don't believe you're just frustrated. This is a pattern." Rashida's face changed. No more fake smiles. Just silence. A silence loud enough to confirm the guilt. Because Ashley wasn't just calling her out, she was exposing her. People in the room started shifting. Side eyes. Awkward tension. Castmates moved out of the direct line of fire like they were bracing for a slap that hadn't come yet. Ashley kept going. "You said my wigs looked low budget. You said my husband was embarrassing. You said I was desperate to stay on the show. How the hell do you smile in my face knowing you said all that behind my back?" Rashida opened her mouth, maybe to explain, maybe to lie, but Ashley wasn't done. "You're either two-faced or insecure. Pick one." Kirk stood still, hands clasped, clearly regretting every life choice that led to this moment. Ashley didn't let him off either. "Why'd you bring me here, Kirk? To watch me break? To watch her deny everything she said? Or did you just want the ratings?" Kirk tried to explain. "I just wanted peace." Ashley cut him off. "Peace is what you get when you stop protecting the people causing chaos." Finally, Rashida spoke. "I said some things. I was in a bad place. It wasn't about you, it was about me." Ashley shook her head. "No, it was about control. It was about keeping your narrative clean while you let mine get dirty. And now you're uncomfortable, because I brought it into the light." Kirk was sweating. Literally. He could feel the entire mood of the room turn on him. He mumbled, "Can we just all chill for a second?" Ashley looked him square in the face and said, "You're only asking for calm now because you don't like the mess you made." And that line, it hit. Kirk didn't respond. He just sat down, quiet. Rashida tried again. "We're all women. We've all gone through pain. I wasn't trying to attack you." Ashley's tone dropped, but her words were even sharper. "Then, why'd it feel like a war zone every time I watched an episode? Why'd I have to relive it alone while you smiled on camera and made it seem like you were being honest?" Rashida looked away. No words, just a face that said it all. The room got quiet, heavy, like no one wanted to move or breathe wrong. Kirk whispered something about moving forward. Ashley heard him and said, "I'm not moving forward with people who can't own their part in the damage. I don't need fake apologies. I need real accountability." That's when Rashida's expression shifted. For the first time, she didn't look defensive. She looked like she'd been hit where it hurt. She said, "You're right. Some of it went too far. I crossed lines." Ashley raised her eyebrows. "Some of it?" Rashida nodded. "Maybe more than some. But I want a chance to explain. Not defend. Just explain." Ashley leaned back in her chair. "I'm listening. But don't play me, not today." Then came a beat of silence. Like everyone knew whatever Rashida was about to say could either calm the fire or throw gasoline on it. She looked at Kirk, then at Ashley, and for a second she looked almost small. "It started when I felt like you were trying too hard to be liked. And I don't mean that as shade," she added quickly, "but I felt like you were doing the most. And yes, I judged you. Not because I knew you, because I didn't." Ashley's expression didn't change. "And you still judged me anyway." "I did," Rashida admitted. "I felt threatened, like you were getting more attention than me, like people were drawn to you. And instead of checking myself, I made you the problem." Kirk blinked. That wasn't something he expected to hear. Ashley leaned in slightly. "So, you were jealous?" Rashida hesitated, then said, "I was insecure. Maybe jealous too. But definitely threatened. And that made me mean." The honesty hit harder than any fake apology could have. It wasn't enough to fix everything, but it was real. The room stayed quiet. No music, no crew voices, just heavy breaths and tension hanging like thick smoke. Ashley exhaled. Not relief. More like recognition. "You said a lot of things that cut deep, and I let it slide." I smiled. "I acted like it didn't bother me, but it did. And hearing you admit it, that doesn't erase what you did, but at least it's a start." "I get it," Rashida replied, her voice low. "I just don't want to be that person anymore." Ashley tilted her head slightly. "Then don't be. But just know, I'm watching." The words weren't a threat. They were a promise. And everyone in that room knew Ashley wasn't the type to forget. The tension didn't disappear, it just shifted. Now it was less about fire and more about fragility. Two women who had finally said what needed to be said, but whether they could move forward or not, that was still a mystery. And Kirk? He just sat there, finally quiet, finally realizing that sometimes the truth doesn't need a moderator. It just needs a microphone. Ashley's words hung in the air like smoke after an explosion. Thick, choking, impossible to ignore. No one said anything. No one dared to. Kirk sat frozen, his fingers clasped together like he was holding on to the last thread of control. But that thread had snapped long ago. Ashley had taken over the moment, the room, the entire narrative. And for the first time in a long time, Rashida wasn't in charge of how the story would be told. Rashida shifted in her seat, her body language giving away everything she was trying to hide. Guilt, discomfort, maybe even fear. Not fear of Ashley, but of being seen clearly for once. Without the filters, the edits, the carefully worded captions. Ashley saw her, and not the boss, chick persona, not the polished reality star, just a woman who had thrown too many stones and forgot people bleed. Ashley wasn't done. "You know what hurts more than anything?" she asked, her voice calm now but no less sharp. "I supported you." Even when I saw what Kirk did to you. Even when people laughed behind your back, I still gave you respect. And the first chance you got, you used my name like it was cheap. Like I was disposable. Rashida opened her mouth, but nothing came out. What could she say? The truth was echoing louder than any excuse. You shaded me on my looks, my marriage, my purpose, and I still didn't clap back. Not because I was scared of you, but because I had enough dignity not to stoop that low. Ashley paused, letting that land. But you used me for a storyline, and when I didn't react the way you wanted, you got meaner. That hit Kirk harder than anything else. Storyline. That one word carried weight. It wasn't just about personal feelings anymore. It was about the game, the politics, the need to stay relevant in a world that feeds on mess. And maybe, just maybe, Kirk realized he had used Ashley too. Not out of cruelty, but out of desperation. To stay in the mix, to keep the cameras rolling. Cameras rolling. He finally spoke, voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know it went that deep. Ashley turned to him. You didn't ask. You just assumed I'd take it like the others. Smile, hug, move on. Well, I'm not the others, and I'm not going to pretend anymore. There was something about the way she said that, so certain, so raw, that even Rashida looked shaken. I'm not here to destroy you, Ashley continued. But I won't protect the image you built on my back either. You want real? Let's be real. You don't like when another woman walks in and owns her space. You call it loud, you call it extra, but the truth is, you're just not used to someone who doesn't need your approval. The silence after that was thick. Even the crew behind the cameras didn't move. Everyone was frozen, caught in a moment that felt too honest for television. Rashida finally said, You're right. I got used to controlling the room. I got used to being the one people looked to for the narrative. And when you came in, I didn't know how to handle it. Ashley raised an eyebrow. So instead of getting to know me, you tried to cut me down. Rashida nodded. I did. And I was wrong. The words came out quiet, but they were real. Ashley didn't respond right away. She just looked at her, really looked. And then she said, Do you know how hard it is to hear you say that now, after the damage is already done? Rashida's eyes filled, but she didn't let the tears fall. I do now. And still, Ashley didn't soften. Because the truth doesn't always come with a hug. Sometimes it just sits there, in the open, making everyone feel uncomfortable until they learn how to carry it. I watched episode after episode, Ashley said, voice starting to tremble. Waiting for you to say something kind. Waiting for you to correct the narrative. But you never did. You let them think I was messy, desperate. You watched me become a joke in the comments. And you said nothing. Rashida looked down at her hands. The shame was visible now. You weren't just silent, Ashley added. You laughed, you joined in, and you enjoyed it. Kirk finally stood up. Not to defend, not to deflect. Just to do something. This is my fault too, he said. I saw it happening. I let it happen. Ashley glanced at him. You helped it happen. You told me this sit-down was about moving forward, but it was never about healing. It was about optics, about patching things up for the cameras. But you didn't think I'd come with truth. You thought I'd fold. Kirk didn't try to argue, because deep down, he knew she was right. You called me emotional, Ashley went on, now facing him fully. But what about when Rashida cried over you cheating? Or when she threw shoes and screamed and broke down on camera? You gave her grace. But me? I get labeled dramatic, loud, bitter. There it was again. The double standard. The hierarchy of who's allowed to feel and who's expected to be quiet. You want to talk about emotional? Ashley asked. Try being attacked every week on national television and still showing up like nothing's wrong. Try watching people whisper about you like you're not human. That's emotional. Kirk sat back down slowly. No words left. Rashida, now visibly shaken, said, I never meant for it to go this far. But it did, Ashley replied. And now you have to deal with that. The room was so quiet, You could hear someone's bracelet clink against their chair. Ashley looked around and saw the faces. Some shocked, some moved, and some finally seeing her for more than the caricature they'd drawn in their minds. "This isn't just reality TV," she said. "This is my life. My name. My marriage. And while y'all get to laugh it off and edit it down, I go home and deal with the pieces." Rashida whispered, "I'm sorry." Ashley didn't smile, didn't nod. She just breathed. Deep, measured, like she'd been holding her breath for a long time and was only now allowed to exhale. "Don't be sorry," she said. "Be better." And with that, the room shifted again. Not lighter, not healed, just changed. The truth had been spoken, and once it's out, it doesn't go back in. It just lingers, reshaping everything in its path. Ashley didn't come for revenge, she came for release. And whether Rashida was ready or not, the mirror had been held up. And this time, there was nowhere left to hide. The air in that room didn't ease up after the truth landed. It just changed shape. It wasn't hot with anger anymore. It was heavy with awareness. Everyone could feel it. The moment wasn't for TV anymore. It wasn't for likes, confessionals, or dramatic previews. It was something deeper, something too real to edit. And in the middle of it all, Kirk looked like a man who had accidentally unlocked a door he didn't know existed. He wanted resolution, but what he got was revelation. And Ashley? She was done playing small. Ashley stood up, not to walk out, but to speak clearer. The way she moved had everyone's attention. Her shoulders were straight, her voice steady, but you could tell she was holding back more than she let show. "You think this is just about me and Rashida?" she asked the room. "Nah, this is bigger. This is about how y'all treat people who don't play the game the way you want them to." Rashida looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" Ashley locked eyes with her. "You want loyalty, but only when it serves you. You want women to be honest, but only when their truth doesn't make you uncomfortable. You want us to clap for your growth, but you won't own your harm." Someone in the back gasped low-key, like they weren't ready for that level of raw. But Ashley wasn't slowing down. "I came on this show thinking I was joining a family. I thought we'd uplift each other. Instead, I became content, a target, a storyline. And when I didn't fit the mold, y'all made sure I got labeled as the angry one, the loud one, the messy one." Rashida whispered, "I never wanted that." "But you allowed it," Ashley shot back. "You sat in that chair and talked about me like I was a character, like I didn't bleed. And when fans came for me, when blogs twisted my name, you didn't defend me. You fed them." Kirk shifted uncomfortably. Ashley turned toward him. "And you told me to come to this meeting like it was about healing. You didn't warn me what I was walking into. And the worst part, you never stepped in when you knew she was being shady." Kirk looked her in the eye. "Because I didn't know how to handle it." Ashley nodded slowly. "You didn't, but you benefited from it, just like she did." Rashida opened her mouth to protest, but Ashley raised her hand. "I'm not saying you plotted. I'm saying you didn't stop it. You let it breathe. And now here we are." It was quiet again. Not awkward, reflective. The kind of silence that makes you question everything you thought you knew about someone. "I watched people online call me desperate, call me thirsty, say I was doing the most," Ashley continued. "And you know who those people were quoting? Your green screen interviews, your little side comments, your sarcasm." Rashida's voice cracked, soft now. "I didn't think it would do all that." "That's the problem," Ashley said. "You didn't think? Because you never had to." And then, from the corner of the room, someone spoke up. A cast member who had stayed quiet till now. "I remember when they aired that scene. People dragged Ashley for days. I saw the comments, and I remember thinking, damn, why isn't anyone defending her?" The honesty from someone else changed the energy again. Ashley didn't smile, but she nodded. "Thank you," she said, "because that's what I needed back then. Not pity, not a private DM. Just someone to say, 'This ain't right.'" Rashida took a deep breath. I thought if I admitted it, it would make me look weak, like I wasn't in control. Ashley tilted her head. But hurting people to feel in control, that's not strength. That's fear. Kirk spoke again, his voice low and tired. What do we do now? Ashley looked at him, her expression firm. You start by telling the truth, both of you. Not just here, not just now, but publicly. Because the harm wasn't private. The damage wasn't behind the scenes. Rashida hesitated. You want me to go on camera and admit I shaded you? Ashley didn't blink. I want you to own what you did. The same way you said it with confidence. Behind my back. Say it now with some accountability. Kirk rubbed his face. We can talk to production. No, Ashley said. Not production. The fans. The people who believed everything you said. The ones who tore me apart because they trusted you. The demand was clear. It wasn't about revenge. It was about responsibility. Rashida looked nervous. What if they don't forgive me? Ashley gave her a long look. They might not. And maybe that's the price. But they'll know you were real. And that's more than what you've given them so far. There was a shift in Rashida's eyes. Not full transformation, not some dramatic moment of clarity, but a crack. A small crack in the image she'd spent years building. Maybe it was time to let the real one through. I'll do it, she said quietly. I'll speak up. Ashley nodded. Good. Then we're getting somewhere. Kirk looked between them, still unsure if this counted as progress or if the fire was just moving in a new direction. But it didn't matter anymore. The truth was out. And once it's said, it doesn't go back. Ashley walked over to a nearby chair and sat down. She wasn't storming out. She wasn't crying. She was still. And that stillness was louder than any breakdown could ever be. I just wanted to be treated like a human being, she said. That's it. Rashida sat across from her. Not defensively. Not like a queen defending her throne, but like a woman sitting with her own mess. You deserve that, she replied. Kirk nodded slowly. We both failed you. We both failed you. Yeah, Ashley said. You did. There was no victory in her tone. No gloating, just truth. Pure and heavy and long overdue. Someone from the crew called out that they had 5 minutes left. The spell broke slightly, but no one moved. They weren't done yet. This isn't about me being right, Ashley said. This is about me being real, and y'all seeing me for the first time without the edits, without the assumptions, just me. We see you, Kirk said. Ashley looked at him, eyes sharp. Do you? Because if you did, none of this would have happened. Kirk lowered his head. You're right. And maybe, for the first time since this whole mess started, he actually meant it. There were no more clever lines, no dramatic exits. Just people sitting in the truth, trying to figure out what came next. And as Ashley sat there, she knew one thing for sure. Whether they liked it or not, she had finally been heard. And that was more powerful than any apology they could ever offer. The silence that followed was heavier than before. It wasn't filled with tension now, it was filled with realization. Ashley had said her truth, and for once, no one interrupted her. No one tried to flip the narrative or tone her down. Rashida sat across from her, stripped of her usual confidence, holding the weight of everything she had dismissed before. Kirk leaned back in his seat like a man who finally understood that some things can't be fixed with a shrug and a shallow apology. The rest of the room stayed still, unsure of what to say or do. Even the camera crew looked frozen, as if they knew what they were capturing wasn't just good television, it was raw humanity. Ashley didn't flinch. She sat in her power, knowing that she hadn't just stood up for herself. She'd shifted something deeper. Finally, Rashida spoke again. Her voice was small but steady. I spent so much time worrying about how I looked to everyone else that I stopped seeing the damage I was causing. I thought I was being funny. I thought I was being real. But all I was doing was projecting. Ashley gave a nod. Not approval, just acknowledgement. I used to think I needed to be the one who had it all together, Rashida continued. The one who knew everything, who gave advice, who had the marriage, the brand, the control. And when you walked in with your confidence, your honesty, your own pain, you shook that. Ashley leaned forward slightly. I wasn't trying to shake anything. I was just being me. And if that threatened you, then maybe you need to ask yourself why. Rashida exhaled. I've been asking myself that a lot lately. Kirk looked at them both and for once didn't try to mediate. He just watched, like he knew this wasn't his moment to speak. Ashley looked around the room and said, "It's funny how quick people are to label someone angry when really, they're just tired. Tired of being misunderstood. Tired of being the punchline. Tired of being quiet to keep the peace." She turned back to Rashida. "You didn't just make jokes. You made me the problem. And that gave everybody else permission to treat me like one." Rashida swallowed hard. "I see that now. And I hate that it took all this for me to understand it." "But you understand it now?" Ashley asked, her tone soft but pointed. "I do," Rashida said, "and I'm going to make it right." Ashley didn't smile. Not yet. Because making it right isn't about words, it's about actions. And she had learned the hard way not to trust what people say when the cameras are on. "Then show me," she said. "Don't tell me, show me." Rashida nodded. "I will." Kirk finally leaned forward. "I think we all got too comfortable with letting the mess become normal. Like, if it makes for good TV, then it's okay. But it's not. Not when real people are hurting." Ashley looked at him. "You've been in this game longer than any of us. You should have known better." "I did," Kirk admitted. "I just didn't care enough to act on it, and that's on me." For the first time since the sit-down began, Ashley allowed herself to breathe. Not a sigh of relief, but a breath of release. It was never about breaking them down. It was about being seen, heard, and respected. "This ain't about me being perfect," she said. "I've made mistakes too. I've said things I shouldn't have. But I never came from a place of malice, and I never used another woman's pain to shine." Rashida looked her dead in the eyes. "That's what I respect most about you. Even when you were hurt, you didn't retaliate. You stayed silent until you couldn't anymore. And I deserved every word you said today." Ashley shook her head. "This isn't about deserving. It's about accountability. If you want to grow, really grow, then start checking yourself before you check others." "I will," Rashida said again, and this time it didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded real. The energy in the room had shifted once more. Not cleared, but changed. People began moving again. Someone whispered something to production. Someone else offered water. It was like the room itself had been holding its breath, waiting for that moment to land. As Ashley stood up, everyone's eyes followed her. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't storm out. She just stood with the grace of a woman who had said what needed to be said and left no pages unturned. "I didn't come here to be the villain," she said quietly, "but I won't be the victim either." Rashida rose too. She looked at Ashley, then at Kirk, then around the room. "Thank you," she said, not just to Ashley, but to the truth. "Thank you for making me face myself." Ashley walked to the door, paused, and looked back one last time. "Just remember, it's easy to smile in public. It's harder to heal. In private. Do both." With that, she left. The room stayed quiet for a moment longer. Kirk leaned back in his chair, eyes glazed with something that looked like guilt, and maybe even a little awe. Rashida sat down slowly, as if her body had just realized what her soul had gone through. No one clapped. No one cheered. There were no confessional cameras cutting in. Just raw aftermath. And in the quiet, the weight of Ashley's words began to settle deep. Kirk finally broke the silence. "That woman's stronger than any of us ever gave her credit for." Rashida nodded. "And I won't make that mistake again." Outside, Ashley walked alone. Not because she didn't have support, but because this was her moment. And sometimes healing doesn't come with applause. It comes with peace. And that peace? She had earned it. Every single bit. If you're still breathing after all that, just know, you're not the only one. This moment wasn't just drama for the cameras. This was personal. This was emotional. And this was exactly what happens when truth finally catches. Up to shade. Ashley didn't just speak her piece. She shattered the silence that so many people hide behind. She called out the games, the double standards, the quiet betrayals. And whether you love her, hate her, or never saw her coming, one thing's for sure, she's not backing down. And now we want to hear from you. Do you think Rashida's apology was real, or was it just damage control? Should Kirk have stepped in earlier, or was his silence part of the problem? And most importantly, was Ashley right to expose everything the way she did? Or did she go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this story is far from over. The lines are drawn, the truth is out, and the cast will never be the same again. Make sure you like this video if you felt that heat, subscribe so you don't miss what happens next, and hit that bell so you're first when the next secret slips out. Because on this show, nothing stays buried for long. Stay tuned, stay ready, and most of all, stay real. Stay real.